What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host Vernon. This is Lake Mead. Let's fish that. Alright, ladies and gents, we're starting this video with the backup plan. That is the kind of day I'm having out here today. And if you've been following my channel for a while, you'll know that I never like doing the same video week after week. That's kind of boring to me. What I mean by this, we know that if I throw some corn out there, probably going to get some carp, but I've been catching quite a lot of carp and catfish during the summer months. I'm looking for some different fish. Now, of course, here at Lake Mead, if you find the bait fish, you'll find some stripers and maybe some bass. But I've really been struggling to find a spot where I can find some good access to bait fish. For instance, when I went to the Hemingway Harbour, didn't find any out there. Same with Boulder Harbour. And when you go to spots like Sunset Overlook or 33 Hole Overlook, you know, looking down the mountain, it's quite a hike to get down to the water, and I'm not up for that yet. It's not that cold out. So my initial plan was to go to Crawdad Cove. The road down there is washed away, very difficult to get there in a normal car. Perhaps if you have 4x4, it's very easy to find reasons not to do fishing. The fall season is rather short, very quickly it will turn to winter. So even though I'm not in the spot I wanted to be, nor am I seeing pretty good fishing action out there, this is still a pretty good time to get some baits and lures out in the water. And as long as you have something out there, you always have a chance of catching something. So let's get something into the water. Alright, so I know I did say that I'm not coming back to Upper Government Wash, and technically I'm not at Government Wash, I'm on the opposite side, but this was the only spot I could think about casting out some lines and maybe finding some fish. Now, why this particular spot? Sadly the wind has picked up now, so there's a riffle on the water, but when it was nice and calm I could see some action in the water, thinking maybe there's some bait fish around. That's why all of the birds are out there as well. So I'm going to be fishing in this area, maybe moving towards the point, seeing if we can find any fish out there. Of course, I'm allowed 2 rods as a licensed angler in Nevada. So on the first setup, I'm going to use a Carolina rig, some anchovies, just cast that out there, leave it in there, see if we get any fish out there. And on the second rod, we'll be throwing around some lures, see if we get any action. Okay, so we got our anchovies baited on our automatic hook setter. So if that thing pops off, we'll know there's a fish on there. But for now, I'm going to focus some different areas, trying to cast some Ned rigs first, see if there's any bass in the area, then swap out to some bait fish imitations, cast that around. Alright, so our hook setter just went off, seeing some pools. Let's see if we have something on there. Alright, so we do have some weight at the end of the rod, so maybe we have something. Feeling head shake, so maybe a little catfish. Of course, using the anchovies, you will always catch catfish as well. And it just popped off. Was indeed a little catfish. Could see him over there. Didn't get a proper hook set on him. And we have some slime on the line. But at least we had a bite. Let's get some baits back out there. Losing that little catfish, that was my fault. Managed to unclip the little microphone from this camera, and whilst I was trying to get everything sorted again, the fish was taking out line and I didn't do a proper hook set. We never got the hook fully into that fish, and that's why he came off the moment I actually brought him in closer. Okay, so if there's a lot of bait fish in the area, then why am I throwing a little Ned rig and not some bait imitation? Well, quite simple. A Ned rig works year round, and when there's a lot of fish in the water, a little almost dying looking little lure on the bottom might be an easier target for some fish. And alongside that, up in the shallows, you'll find some smaller quarter-pounder bass, also afraid of going in deep. Just want to see, our hook setter went off again. Just want to see if we get a pull on that or not. Doesn't look like it. But like I was saying, some smaller bass might rather go for this. They're afraid of the bigger fish, so they stick up shallow. So maybe some smaller fish. Okay, so we gave it a couple of seconds and it looks like that fish came back for the baits. This time around, we're just going to set the hook, make sure we get this fish. Not feeling as much head shakes yet. There we go. So maybe another channel catfish. And indeed, first little fish for today, another channel cat. First one got away, but we sent some new baits out there, got another one. We got him hooked nice in the corner of the mouth. There we go, first little catfish for today. Nice golden colors. Let's get him back to the water. And off he goes. A lot of times you'll find these little catfish below the school of baitfish as some stripers hit them. The ones falling to the bottom, that's where the little catfish will get them. Alright, that's now been 2 hits in 20 minutes since starting fishing, meaning I haven't had lots of time for the lures yet because we have to keep rebaiting. But I'm not going to complain about catching fish. But for now, I'm going to throw around some lures. If we have any more action, I'll bring you guys to it. Alright, so I've thrown around the little Ned rig for a while, and we had one small bass follow it but not go for it. So I'm thinking it's time to change it up a bit. So I'm going to go for little shad imitation type lures, see if there's anything willing to go for some artificial lures, using a little jig head, one with a big eye, and some soft plastics behind that little paddle tail thing. Just going to let it swim around. We'll see if we get any fish willing to go for some moving lures. Now, of course, I would like to live line some of these little shad out there, but these fish are way in deep. I'm not going to be able to get a casting net all the way out there, but you always need to be vigilant. Every once in a while there's a small school of shad swimming right up here next to the bank. Looks like they're feeding on something. They go back to the big school and then another small school break off. So whilst fishing out there, if I see a small school coming by, I try and target them with the net, see if maybe we can get some shad to live line out there as well. And there we go, we finally have a little shad. See the school, so I cast it towards them, so we're going to get that little guy and live line him out there. Alright, so after fishing in this area for quite a while now, I've realized that we have some big carp jumping in deep, and then a very big school of baitfish all the way from there, all the way back here. It seems like most of the action on this baitfish tends to be on this side, so I'm thinking I'm in the middle of the bait ball there. If I maybe move that little lifelining setup of mine, put it on this side, we maybe get some of the fish as they're coming towards the bait ball. So I think it's about time I move spots. Alright, ladies and gents, we finally have ourselves a little fish. Got a little largemouth bass. Oh, he just came off again. Didn't get to hold him, but at least we got to see him. Got him on a tiny little shad imitation. Maybe need to swap out these hooks for some EWG hooks, something that's bent in a little bit, because it was way too easy for that fish to come off of these hooks. But finally got another different type of fish, little largemouth bass. That's now the third little hit I got on this lure, so I'm going to keep casting that around, see if maybe we can actually get one we can properly land. Alright guys, we may have something small, and indeed, first striper for today. Tiny little striper, Just want him to tire out some. He's quite fidgety. We want him to be a bit more relaxed so we can get those hooks out safely. This little guy really wanted it. He's hooked with all 3 of the treble hooks, so I'm going to have to remove them one at a time, so best to get the pliers. Always remember to have the fish in the water when not handling them. They also need to breathe. But got my pliers. Let's quickly get that hook out. Alright, we got the hooks out. Gonna quickly release this little guy. Even though he's small, he has quite a belly on him. You can feel his little belly. And off he goes. The little GoPro doesn't always show the depth, but it's quite a drop down. So no way for me to get into the water. But we dropped him head first and he swam off. So first little striper landed. Amazing to think that we still have our anchovies on there if there's that size fish around. Alright, so we've been having quite a lot of small fish try and steal our baits, but this thing just set off. So let's see if there's a fish on there. Does not feel like it. It felt like something was snagged on it. Maybe a little turtle or something. That's the problem I've been having. Lots of small fish stealing the baits. Gonna cast out a couple more times, but if this continues, I'm gonna have to move spots. Alright, so I was reeling this one in to bring it in to rebait, and as I was reeling it in, we got a little hit. Tiny little striper, he's back into the water. It's the problem I've been having, bunch of small stripers moving in. Now of course I can go for a smaller hook, catch a bunch of small stripers, or I can try and find a different spot. Been seeing some bigger fish jumping on that side, maybe going to that side. That means I'm moving a bit away from the shad, but maybe that's what we need to find some bigger fish. Alright, we made it to our final fishing spot. All the way over there we have the Las Vegas Wash. That's where that runs into Lake Mead. And on that side we have Upper Government Wash. And I'm fishing the last point available before you head back to the main lake, hoping that this channel will be a bit deeper with some bigger fish. Alright, so once again got a couple of thread thin shad. Gonna lifeline a few of them out there as well. So I swapped over to smaller lure, little crappie jig head. We just got green sunfish up shallow. Very eager to grab this little thing. But that's another species for today. Tiny little green sunfish. Let's get him back to the water. I don't like dropping fish, but it's a bit of a drop off here, so we have to drop him head first, and he swam off, so all good. I don't have the little bucket with me, so I'm using my casting net as a live well for the small fish, and what that has done is brought a couple of small bass to the area. That's why I swapped to a tiny lure. I wanted to see if I could get one of the small bass. Instead we got that little green sunfish. There we go. One of the little bass, tiny little largemouth bass. Couldn't see the first bigger one we got today, but luckily we get to see a tiny little largemouth bass. Let's get this beautiful fish back to the water. Head first and down he goes. You know, I might not know how to catch the big fish, but at least these small bass, they're fun to catch. The small little lures. Like I said, these are the guys that's hiding up in the shallows, hiding from the bigger fish. These tiny little guys. Let's get this one back to the water. Alright, so I just wanted to reel in It seems we caught ourselves a little snag. First snag for me, a little shad. This little guy got us wrapped around quite good. But that does mean this little shad is still doing pretty well, swimming around, going around trees like that. Alright guys, I could have used any excuse not to do some fishing out there today. And yes, you might look at this video and say, but I didn't catch any big stripers out there. And the one big decent bass that I got, we didn't land that fish, I lost that one. But that being said, we did catch quite a lot of fish out there today, and quite a lot of different species as well. And all in all, I had fun out there, and that is the big thing, it's having fun. Now yes, I did find some bait fish, but it doesn't seem like the big stripers know where these fish are yet. And of course waiting till the sun goes down, twilight hours, better time to do some fishing. But I think I've had enough for today. Rather than waiting around, I am a bit tired. I'm going to start heading back. There's still quite a hike to get out here, so I'm not going to drag this video out longer than it needs to be. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please do like, comment and subscribe. Feel free to ask any questions down below in the comments. Like always, I'll see you next time.